Welcome to This Week in West Hempstead, sponsored by Giordano Garden and Nursery. Here are your hosts, David and Norm. Take it away, gents.
Thanks, Dan, and welcome back, Norm.
Good to be here.
And you know what? A lot going on. The weather's turned. It's beautiful outside, and schools, a lot of kids outside. And you know what also is happening? School budgets are taking place really, really soon.
Right, the elections are coming up, and we have 4 people running, all residents of West Hempstead, parents, most of them parents. I think it's going to be a good draw.
Yeah, so the school budget vote is taking place May 17th at the middle school, and you can get more information on the westhempsteadecho.com website. Along with the proposed budget that was off of the Town of Hempstead site.
Yeah, I looked at it as well, and there's some interesting things that you find when you go to the West Hempstead site itself. The high school itself has over 600 people, and I was surprised to find out that 77% are minority. And of those, I think 48% are actually in the economically disadvantaged category. That number surprised me.
To what extent? You thought it would be a lot lower?
No, actually, because I think the scores for the school are generally good. This Board of Education has really kept our ranking pretty high. In New York State, we're at about, I think, top 25%, and nationally, top 18%. I think that's pretty impressive for a small little community.
At the high school level, the schools, the kids are integrated with the Lakeview schools. Isn't that correct?
Right, and I believe Island Park also used to be part of our draw.
So, you know, some of those areas have a slightly lower household income than is in West Hempstead, so that also may reflect some of the higher numbers.
Right, but yet the scores are pretty good. So I think it's impressive that the Board of Education has really tried to maintain the standards.
And do we know anything about some of these candidates that are up for election?
So, you know, there was actually in the Long Island Herald, they did a really good job of going into lots of detail. But, you know, some of the top line, there are 4 candidates running for 3 seats. The first election, you have a newcomer, Bert Blass, who's running against Jennifer Johnson for the seat held by Gavi Hoffman, who is not seeking re-election. So this seems to be like the big one out of the other 2, which are really going to be going uncontested. So a couple of interesting things here. Number one, Gavi Hoffman not seeking re-election. Is there anything that we know about that?
I have no idea.
I know he's been a very active member of the board and certainly I think has been a pretty powerful voice for, you know, those of us who may have sent kids to private schools, and obviously there are issues there, and I think he's been a real helpful bridge, I think, between the private school parents and the local public school community.
Yeah, I thought he did a really good job, and he was responsive. I actually remember when he was first running, a very, very quick story, apparently he was knocking on everyone's door, and when he came to knock on my door, it was in the middle of a torrential downpour. I have a fairly large dog who's barking like a lunatic. He's getting drenched. I didn't know who he was, you know, just some stranger knocking on the door, and I sent him away. The point being, it's like he was really dedicated. He was going door to door in the middle of a storm, just kind of, you know, telling people what he was all about. And I think he was dedicated.
Yeah, I've spoken to him several times about issues for the Board of Education. He's up to speed. He understood what was going on, and I think he wanted to be a force for good for the Board of Ed.
Yeah, so, you know, there's this other gentleman, Bert Blass, who actually I don't really know that much about him. I do think he came from Queens. He was a Queens resident, moved here about 1.5 years ago. But when I looked at his picture, I recognized this guy from Congregation Anshe Shalom.
Yeah, he's a retired financial guy. I think he was originally with Einstein Medical School. Is a controller. The guy obviously understands finance very well and probably would be an asset.
It could be, and he's running against Jennifer Johnson.
Do we know anything about her particularly, or?
I don't know, Norm. What do we got about Jennifer Johnson?
Well, we have something from the Long Island Herald.
She's an educator for 2 decades, and she's a speech language pathologist for BOCES. Seems that she has a pretty extensive background, and she's well known in the community.
Yeah, I think one of her children is dyslexic, and she wants to make sure that children with disabilities have the full range of services that most kids are looking forward to. And so, it's another great asset for the community if she's elected.
Sure. And then the other 2 races, we have the incumbent Karen Brom, who's running unopposed for another 4-year term. And then the last race is Bayers Cole, who's running unopposed for the seat held by Patricia Greaves, who also is not seeking re-election. So
right, and they've held that. I think she held that position prior, a couple of years ago. Left, and then now she's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, really, really, really interesting stuff. So you know what? The best thing that everyone in West Hempstead could do is get out and vote. It's May 17th. It's at the middle school. It's really easy. You're in and out in a couple of minutes. And, it's the right thing to do.
And the best thing is you don't have to pay for gas because it's totally unaffordable at this point. We're local. Get in and vote.
Well, have you something to say about the gas there, Norm? That perhaps we should take a look at?
It's impossible to look at. It's depressing. Every time you look at it, it changes.
Yeah.
It's like watching a lottery number. Every day they pick a new number.
Yeah, it's more like bingo as opposed to lottery because you're really not winning anything.
So scroll down on that story there for a second.
So, if you go to westhempsteadecho.com, you see a picture from the Speedway gas station on Hempstead Turnpike and Peach Grove Drive. And I was walking on Hempstead Turnpike yesterday, and I almost got whiplash when I saw that $4.75, and let alone the $6.49 for diesel. I mean, holy cow, this is, these numbers are getting off the charts really, really quickly. It's hitting people in the pocket. And, it's obviously not just a local issue, but it's certainly hitting people very, very locally.
And Speedway is pretty traditionally one of the lower priced options in town, which means some of the others are probably 10, 20 cents more a gallon. So
yeah, and of course I usually get my gas from Costco, and they were up to $4.25. So I mean,
I'm headed there today. I think that we predicted this over a month ago. We talked about $5 gas, and we're right there already.
So much for summer road trips, I think.
Yeah, unbelievable. So you know what? I can't even talk about gas. Let's talk about summer pastime. Let's talk baseball. A couple of weeks ago, we did a story on a new ball field that the town of Hempstead invested quite a lot of money. I think it was about $285,000. It was part of a $285,000 renovation for the Cherry Hill Park. Norm, what does it look like?
It's beyond belief. You go to our website, you're going to see a manicured artificial turf infield that looks painted pristine. It's like walking on carpeting. It meets with a regular traditional grass outfield that's beautifully manicured. It's a brand new field, new dugout, scoreboard, everything you would want in a dream field.
And I guess the question, and we were talking about this before we did this on air, is who does this ball field serve? I mean, I think it's in West Hempstead, although I believe that it's the Garden City South Little League that plays there.
Yeah, I have no idea how they share that ball field, but it would be amazing to not use it every week. They put a lot of effort into it, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's really a sight to see.
You know, when you contrast this to the ball fields at the corner of Hempstead Avenue and Chestnut, this is like Yankee Stadium. I mean, you go to the Chestnut fields, it's all dirt and the water isn't absorbed. This really looks like a professional ball field.
It looks like they have a field crew that covers it up every night, but they don't. I mean, it just sits like that every day, and I really hope it lasts.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, thanks for those pictures. We'll be posting all of the pictures on westhempsteadecho.com. And we want to thank you for joining us and listening to everything that's going on in West Hempstead.
Enjoy the summer, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Once again, if you're interested in sponsoring any of our shows, please reach out to us at sales@westhempsteadecho.com.